Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today, I'm going to review the Maryland Association of Realtors listing agreement if you're selling a home in Maryland. Let's get started.
So here we are with the exclusive right to sell residential brokerage agreement. So page 1 highlights the seller information, broker information, property listing, what are the terms of the agreement, when does it start, when does it end, what is the list price. If the list price changes, say for instance, if you set a certain amount and then you've done improvements and the home value changes, then you can also always get an amendment on the listing amounts. So the amount can always change. So in essence, it's not set in stone. Page 2, so that is paragraph 6. So showing instructions. If you're going to have a lockbox, you have to have a lockbox addendum and that has to be signed. Paragraph 7 talks about marketing, whether the property is going to be marketed online on the MLS, multiple listing service, whether it's going to be an office exclusive agreement, and it details all of those items there. So we're going to move to page 3 and continues on to talk about marketing. Is the property going to be listed in coming soon status? And it talks about what that is. Paragraph 7 Paragraph F, seller concessions. Well, I'm going to read this verbatim. So, concessions in the MLS may not be limited to or conditioned on the retention of or payment of a cooperating broker. They are subject to the negotiation between the buyer and seller. Bright has a zero tolerance policy for misuse of these fields. And does the seller want to signal that they will consider requesting concession credit towards buyer closing costs? So are you going to offer that? You would say yes or no. If at the time of the listing you say, well, I don't want to, and then during the course of the listing agreement, you can make those changes. So don't feel that, oh, I did it and I can't make, any changes. You can. And more than likely, I would just say this agreement will change, but this just kind of gives you an idea because typically they change once a year for the most part. Once a year, a couple edits. I mean, it may be a paragraph here or there. Or they may take out some words. They may add a paragraph, add a page. So paragraph 8, consent to discuss other properties with buyers at seller's open house. So this means that, if your listing agent was at the house doing an open house, are they allowed to say, okay, well, it's 2 houses down the street. So do you allow that? Do you not allow that? There's a benefit to it, and it's a pros and cons to everything. So you have to talk to your agent about that. So paragraph 9, grant and release property data to broker. So this talks about you give broker authorization to use like graphics and photos and all that of your home. Paragraph 10, this talks about security systems and recording of audio and video. So you have to disclose that you actually have these devices at the house. Most people have these because we have the Ring cameras and all that in the house. We have the Alexas. So moving on to page 4, fair housing. So we have to abide by the fair housing laws in all the protected classes. Paragraph 12, seller responsibility and insurance. So you're still responsible for maintaining the property upkeep and maintaining insurance. Paragraph 13 is talking about repairs. And paragraph 14, broker compensation. So notice, real estate commission rates are not fixed by law or established by any membership organization with which broker is affiliated. Each real estate brokerage independently sets their own compensation rates. Commission rates are negotiable between the seller and broker. So the compensation can be a percentage. The compensation can be a percentage and a fixed amount. The compensation can be a fixed amount. So you would discuss this and come to an agreement with your listing agent. And also paragraph underneath that says if this agreement was terminated and a buyer was already produced, that's basically talking about the procuring clause. What amount is the brokerage willing to, well, not willing to, but required to make changes, not changes, sorry. At what amount of time is the broker still due their compensation above if the agreement was terminated? So page 5. So it still talks about compensation. So paragraph 15, authority to cooperate and compensate other brokerages. That talks about that there. Paragraph 16, ministerial acts. Paragraph 17, deposit held by escrow agent, talks about deposits. Paragraph 18, smoke alarm notice. So you have to have updated smoke detectors as of January 1st, 2018. So you have to have that. Paragraph 19, lead-based paint. So if the property was built prior to 1978, you have to have a disclosure to the buyer and to the buyer's agent. Paragraph 20, notice regarding disclosure of deferred water and sewer. So if you're paying that, so the main thing is if you don't disclose it, then you could be held liable for a lawsuit because you have to disclose these things, because this will financially impact the new buyers. So they have to, if you're making payments on something that is going to convey with the home, you must disclose it, in a nutshell. So page 7, we're getting down to the end now. So offers. So paragraph A, authority to disclose existing offers. Do you authorize the listing agent to disclose the offers? Now, the agent can't say what the offers are, but the agent can say whether there is another offer in place and presentation of offers. So broker shall present to the seller in a timely manner all written offers and counter offers, even if the property is subject to an existing contract of sale, unless seller has waived the obligation in writing. So if you're under contract and an offer comes in, the seller is still owed the opportunity to look at that offer. You can't necessarily get out of the contract of the other sale, but an offer still has to be presented to you. Paragraph 22, home warranty. Are you going to offer one? Are you not going to offer one? Paragraph 23, notice of property disclosure disclaimer. Is the property exempt? And if it's not, you have a certain time period whether you have to disclose it to the buyer. The buyer has 5 days to review, and they can terminate based on that. All right, page 8. Paragraph 24, violation notices. So if there are any violations, you have to disclose that. Paragraph 25, conservation easements. So if there are any easements with the property, there'll be an additional addendum that will be required. So if it's something going on there, you got to state that. So say, for instance, if it's a wooded area behind your house, can that be built on? Is that, protected by, wildlife? So you have to state all that. Paragraph 26, insurability. Is the property insurable? I mean, we got to know that. Is the property in a flood zone? Paragraph 27. If it is, you have to disclose that. And if you're unsure, is it in a floodplain? You would know whether you have insurance. But a lot of times, recently they've been updating the flood maps. So I would look up your property just to make sure, because you may be in a floodplain. Paragraph 28, Maryland non-resident seller. So this is important. So I'm going to read this. So a non-resident individual of the state of Maryland or a non-resident entity which is not formed under the laws of the state of Maryland. So they are subject to either 8% of the total payment of the non-resident seller or 8.2% of the total payment of the non-resident entity. So if you're not a resident seller, if you're a non-resident seller in Maryland, you may have to have some withholding amounts at settlement. Is it important to know that? Because that could affect your bottom line. I mean, your equity could maybe only be 8%. And if you need that to buy the next house or whatever, the reason why you're selling it because you want to get out of the house. But it's important to know that. So page 9. So paragraph 29. So this is the FIRPTA rule. So if you're subject to that, you will have to hold funds in escrow. Well, not in escrow, but have to pay the government because you are a foreign entity. Paragraph 30, properties with private or domestic water subject well. So if the property is on a well, you have to disclose that. Paragraph 31, national priorities Superfund site. So you can read more about that. Paragraph 32, 33. So these are all notices. FHA loan notice, wire fraud notice, and legal construction. And page 10, finally. So these are additional addendums that will be required to be added to your contract, to the listing documents. So consent to dual agency, what's going on, what are the conveyances with the house, what are your utilities, what's the licensing status, are you subject to FIRPTA, that will be another addendum. Lockbox, if you have solar panels, you have to do that, and then you would sign in dates. And that is all for the Maryland listing agreement. So if you are looking to sell your home in Maryland, you can quickly scan this QR codes and connect with me. And I would love to talk to you about selling your home in Maryland, or if you have a home in Virginia or DC, if you want to move across state lines, we can talk about that. If you're looking at this and you are a buyer, I can help you with that as well. Make it a great day, and I hope this video was informative to you. Until the next time, I'm Rashauna Levin, Realtor with KW United.